Breaking news. Trump's new weapon for conservatives. Despite mainstream media reports to the contrary, President Donald Trump continues to drain the swamp, significantly decreasing the size of the federal bureaucracy. The administration permanently downsized staff from all cabinet-level departments by the end of September 2017, with the exception of Homeland Security, Veterans Affairs, and the Interior. Living the words of former President Ronald Reagan when he stated, "As government expands, liberty contracts, hundreds of federal positions have been removed as a result of the Trump administration's complete commitment to revamp, reorganize, and shed the dead weight of some of the 2 million federal government employees." Under the leadership of both former Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama, the federal workforce grew from roughly 1.8 million employees in 2000 to 2.14 million at the height of Obama's presidency. In addition to this reduction of federal workforce, the Trump administration is attempting to deregulate the economy, allowing capitalism to reign once again, as well as slashing environmental, financial, and other federal regulations. Yet unless you know where to look at primary and secondary sources, or even conservative and independent media outlets, the mainstream media would have you believe none of this is happening, or if it is, well, it must be a bad thing. See the recent tax cuts, for example. President Trump has also revealed what he believes is probably an even greater weapon to fight against the mainstream media and their spin and propaganda. In a tweet blasting the very dishonest and unfair press on Saturday, President Trump said the reason he uses social media is that it is currently the only way to fight the fake propaganda being spewed out by the media on behalf of the elite. Trump tweeted, "I use social media not because I like to, but because it is the only way to fight very dishonest and unfair press, now often referred to as fake news media. Phony and non-existent sources are being used more often than ever. Many stories and reports are pure fiction." Many have touted President Trump's use of social media as a means to bypass the mainstream media, an entity that the vast majority of Americans believe to be highly untrustworthy and speak directly to the American people. A Pew Research study found that a mere 5% of the mainstream media coverage about President Trump is positive. Yet President Trump's approval rating is the exact same as former President Obama's was this far into his first year of presidency. Yet Obama had the media sycophants quite literally kissing his behind and slobbering all over him in their attempts to sing his praises for even the most inane of acts. Joseph Goebbels said it best when he spoke on propaganda, telling people to think of the press as a great keyboard on which the government can play. Goebbels was a German Nazi politician and Reich Minister of Propaganda of Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945. Serving under Adolf Hitler, he states of the purpose of propaganda, "Success is the important thing. Propaganda is not a matter for average minds, but rather a matter for practitioners. It is not supposed to be lovely or theoretically correct. I do not care if I give wonderful, aesthetically elegant speeches, or speak so that women cry. The point of a political speech is to persuade people of what we think right. I speak differently in the provinces than I do in Berlin, and when I speak in Bayreuth I say different things than I say in the Forest Hall. That is a matter of practice, not of theory. We do not want to be a movement of a few straw brains, but rather a movement that can conquer the broad masses. Propaganda should be popular, not intellectually pleasing. It is not the task of propaganda to discover intellectual truths. It seems that President Trump is using social media as a weapon in his arsenal to combat just this line of thought, as many people have discovered that mainstream media sources such as CNN, Media Matters, the New York Times, the Washington Post, many others are little more than propagandists in the line of Goebbels himself. Yet they continue to refer to supporters of President Trump, conservatives, Republicans, and those that lean right are called Nazis and are continually villainized. A prime example occurred earlier this month when a Washington Post reporter deliberately posted a phony photo of an empty arena hours before a Trump rally was slated to begin or anyone was due to arrive. At the venue, President Trump called the reporter out via Twitter. The reporter, Dave Weigel, apologized via Twitter, then proceeded to justify it by stating it was on his personal account, claiming it was a joke. Trump has repeatedly claimed that major lies written, then forced to be withdrawn after they are exposed as stain on America, referring to the many retractions as well as the false and fabricated stories that have come out in the last few years. His continued use of social media through outlets like Twitter is a surefire way to bypass the propagandist outlets, allowing Americans to hear what President Trump actually said versus the media spin. If what he said